Hello, everyone. Ooh, let's get a distance here. Welcome so much to our session here on enablers for cross-sector cooperation and large-scale implementation of CCAM, with some insights from European 5G projects. We are, maybe I should also change slides here. No, not that button. This is a trend, I guess, for these days. But wow. So I should present myself. I'm Anna Larsson, and I'm from RISE, Research Institutes of Sweden. I'm also co-cluster leader for Cluster 7 in the CCAM partnership, and I will be moderating this session. We are right now standing at the doorstep to the large-scale demonstrations where we want to see automation and CCAM technologies all over Europe. And it's not really about demonstrations neither. We want the implementation to solve the real life problems and have it integrated with people so that this is one of the solutions as any solution in society. And we wanted also, the European approach is that we wanted to build on strong partnership and the collective strength of the European countries. So there is also a need for increased collaboration among European partners, because as we go into implementation phases, the ecosystems become larger than it has been for a demo project. We need more actors also closer to the actual problems that we're trying to solve. And we would like to see then the strategic use of resources, of course, to do it in a smart way, to deliver measurable economical benefits, societal benefits, environmental benefits, and also an ability for scaling and have these solutions spread all over. Today's session is organized as a collaboration between two existing projects. It's the 5G A2A project that just started here in January, that are planning to build a cross-border 5G corridor for connected mobility. And you will hear more about that project just in a few minutes. And we also have CCAM Sweden that gathers the Nordic stakeholders in the field of CCAM to see also how we can benefit from the collaboration and ecosystems and to really join different actors of society. These actors are also then working in different projects, and we will mention 3 projects today. It's the North Star, which is an EU CEF2 project, the MODI, an EU CCAM project, and also CoTwin, which is a Swedish national project, to learn some experiences from these implementations. And to discuss these topics with me, I'm proud here to introduce 4 speakers, as you can see, representing also different parts of the ecosystem. We have Pia Wik, Project Manager, Research and Innovation at Einred. Pia has a Master in Socio-Technical Systems Engineering from Uppsala University and has a long experience from working with ITS. And she's in Einred since 3 years. We also have Timo Kero. He's a CTO and AD testing expert at Astasero Proving Ground. Timo has a PhD from Chalmers University of Technology, where he's also part-time researchers within the Department of Systems Engineering. And since 2022, his main occupation is then CTO at Astasero Proving Ground. We also have Gerhard Machinger. He's a project lead of 5G corridors at Vantage Towers. Gerhard has a master from University of Vienna and an MBA from University of Warwick. And he has worked as a project manager in IT and telecom and is at Vantage Tower since 2 years. Least but not last, Mikael Ivari. He's a senior advisor urban environment at City of Gothenburg. So Mikael has a master from Chalmers University of Technology and holds a degree in economics and statistics from Gothenburg School of Business and Economics and Law. He has more than 20 years of experience from urban and mobility planning, working both in public and private sectors in different roles. So now we will have the panelists introduce their perspective and their role in the ecosystem. So first out, I would like to welcome Pia to the microphone.
Good. Yeah. Good that it works, but that was a bit too fast. Hi there, everyone. My name is Pia Wik, as mentioned, and thank you for the introduction, Anna. I'm glad to be here today to tell you about NRIDE and what we are doing. And I will focus on the first part of the very long title of this session, which is the cooperation part. First, I would like to start by saying what NRIDE is actually doing in general. And we are a freight technology company pioneering, as it states here, a new era of road freight by building sustainable, safe, smart, end-to-end shipping solutions. We are a transport service provider, but using new methods to do so. The baseline of our entire operation is digitalization. We believe that we must be digital to be able to go electric at all and definitely to go autonomous. So that is the core of what we're doing, and we have a freight mobility platform for this, and this is something that we've actually developed mostly ourselves. But to be able to deliver electric freight, we need to have electric trucks. So we buy these or lease these from different OEMs, and we choose the OEM based on their product, but also on the market that we will deploy them. So the right partner for the right use case. And as you can understand, to be able to deploy electric, one must also have charging infrastructure. And this is something that we understood quite early, of course, since the charging infrastructure is not that developed in Europe, or at least wasn't that some years ago when we started. So we started to build our own, and to be able to do this, we of course need partners. So here we work with partners such as Polar Structures and Chempower. And one thing that I don't think that's that many know is that we are also working with operational partners, hauliers, to provide us with the drivers for these manually driven electric vehicles. So we partner also there. I do understand that your main focus here today is the autonomous part. So let's dig into that one, because the future is autonomous, and that's why we're working with that. The vehicle you see on the picture is something that we built ourselves, and we developed the ADS ourselves. And I would also like to take the opportunity to mention here that we have the vehicle, but we also have a remote operation station. So we have a remote operator, a human in the loop, to monitor the vehicle's operations, but also to support it if needed. And for those of you who were in the remote operations session yesterday, I think you know what I'm talking about. And I will also come back to the need for connectivity, to circle back on the aim of this session regarding the need for connectivity for the remote operation station. But okay, so in the electric freight, we're working with partners. That is that is clear now for us all. And taking the opportunity then to tell you about the partners that we're working with for the autonomous electric freight. We are a proud partner of the Moody project, which has been mentioned several times during these days, a flagship CCAM project. And to deploy autonomous trucks in the logistics system is something that this project is focused on. And to do so, we require system perspective and experts in the field. And the Moody project is providing us with exactly that. So we're working with the researchers and technical service providers to understand the needs and requirements that the logistics system puts on our product. Because it's not about the autonomous vehicle and remote operation, right? It needs to work in the system. So we're putting a lot of effort into this particular aspect, the system perspective in this project. What Enride is also doing in the product is to test some of the more technical aspects that also needs to work when deploying autonomous vehicles in logistics. And I would like to mention a few here. First, to be able to deploy autonomous electric once again in 24/7 operations, we need to have a thought-through charging scheme. And in the project, we have, together with an innovative service provider, tested out their autonomous charging solution. And I can't mention the name here, I can't disclose that yet, but it will soon be communicated. And speaking of partners, we actually did this test at AstaZero Proving Ground last week. So there's another partner here in this ecosystem as well. Another thing that needs to work and also work autonomously if we actually are to remove all the people in the system, or a lot of people in the system at least. And in many countries, when we remove the driver from the driver's seat, we also remove the person who's loading and unloading the goods into the vehicles or the truck. So this is actually a pain point for our customers and in the dialogues with our customers, that this is something that we need to handle. So in the project, we have, together with a service provider named Still, we have tested their what they call self-driving vehicle, SDV, which is an autonomous forklift, to load and unload our autonomous electric vehicle. And speaking about connectivity then, to be able to have our remote operator always connected to the vehicle, we need to have connectivity. And any vehicle could ask for assistance or need assistance at any time, also at borders. And this is something that a lot of sessions here has come back to. And in the project, we're actually crossing the border or planning to cross the border with our electric autonomous truck between Sweden and Norway. And in dialogues with the Telia company, we have tested out their new configuration of their public network. First, before they did the new configuration in their network, we lacked connectivity for several kilometers crossing the border. But now it's an almost seamless transition between the Telia Sweden and Telia Norway network. We haven't published the results from this, but that's the main conclusion. Speaking about other types of connectivity, we've also tried out together with the CITS partner Q-Free to use the standardized protocol and system for CITS for access control into private sites. And this is something that we think could streamline the integration of autonomous trucks in the logistics system. So that was a short kind of summary of some of the partnerships that we have made throughout the Moody project. But I would like to conclude my presentation by also saying that partnerships also works for us on the customer side as well, because the technology is new and the old technology is old. It's been working there for many, many years. So the processes and everything is kind of, it's more or less set in stone. So we need to have a good dialogue with our customers to be able to try out this new technology and to have a good dialogue to be able to move forward together. So partnerships goes all the way through the ecosystem. And with that, I would like to say thank you for your for listening, and thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Pia. We'll move to the next speaker, Mikael.
Thank you very much, Anna, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the city of Gothenburg. We're a green and inclusive city with a strong trade heritage. We were actually founded for trade reasons 400 years ago, but we also have a very strong industrial heritage, especially worth mentioning in the CCAM context that we have a world-class automotive cluster in our city. And as a city, we are very open to innovation. We believe that cooperation is the key to city development. So we work a lot in this ecosystem together with actors from within the cities, from outside the city, from within Sweden, and also internationally.
You never know.
Now, welcome to Gothenburg in 2035. You will see a lot of increased automated features in the city, in the urban. And if you look very closely, you will find maybe one of Pia's vehicles. But what is it that you can't see in this picture? What is missing? What is not visual? Anyone dare to? Yeah. I was thinking in this context of 5G, what is really needed, but seldom visible, and it's very difficult to visualize, but I made an example. Yeah. So this is really important. But the good thing is that it's already in place. We already have a good communication systems. The title of the session is 5G. We have 4G, been around for some long time, and we have basic 5G functions, and there are already a lot of usefulness of this communication that you can utilize to bring efficiency to the transport system or to add safety. As a city, we have piloted many different services, new digital services that are based on these communication methods. Many CITS deployments, ranging from day one services such as green light optimal speed advisory, to more advanced services like dynamic access control. And this picture illustrates an example where we cooperated with a car manufacturer based in our city, where we implemented solutions that if there are environmental problems, bad air pollution, for instance, we can use communication to send a message instantly within a second to the vehicles, so that they get this message that we set up an intermediary environmental zone, and the vehicle can respond to that in an instant. So if they, for instance, are running a hybrid vehicles, they can change from combustion engine to electric engine. And this can already be done today. Now, we're at CCAM, And we know that CCAM brings, an advanced CCAM brings more opportunities, but also adds new requirements. And this is where 5G comes very handy into place. And this is an illustration from the project Anna mentioned previously. It's called Co-Twin. It's financed by the National Swedish Innovation Agency, Vinnova, where we work together with another major truck manufacturer based in our city, and a telecommunication company and the telecommunication equipment international service provider to stream large amounts of data real time from vehicles and stream them to the mobile network, to the 5G network, and do what is sometimes referred to as edge computing, which we can use to add and develop more refined, more advanced digital services. For instance, what we call a co-twin. And this is really exciting because here also different vehicle manufacturers can cooperate and add information to a digital twin that could be hosted by the city. So we could more or less enable a real-time twin in our city when a sufficient amount of vehicles have these capabilities. So that's my introductory statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mikael. And now we have Gerhard.
This button here, right?
Yes,
Right
that's
now.
the one.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gerhard Machinger. Thank you for the introduction, and also thank you for the chance of being here and present maybe one of the projects which is not directly or immediately connected to CCAM, but hopefully we'll see that in a minute, why it is and why it should be, by the way. Just quickly, a quick introduction, a brief introduction about Vantage Towers. We are a leading tower company in Europe. We provide infrastructure for telecommunication companies, so you're using it every day, or at least the benefits from our company, hopefully. We are based in Europe, obviously. We have more than 86,000 towers all over Europe, here in Italy as well, in one joint venture. We were launched in 2020, and we are headquartered in Germany, and I'm based in Germany as well. And yeah, and we are actually we call ourselves Superhost in Europe, and as we provide 5G connectivity as well. And we started at the beginning of this year a 5G project I would like to tell you a bit more about now. So, the way this works here. Yeah. Okay, a few key facts about our project. The project is called 5G A2A, Autobahn to Autoroute. What are we actually doing is providing a 5G corridor covering parts, or the corridor is based in the east of France and in the western part of Germany. And we can proudly say it's co-funded by the European Union. We have various project partners in the project. Next to Vantage Towers, we have an university called HDW Saar, which is the University of Applied Sciences in Saarbrücken in Germany. And they are actually experts in CCAMs as well, and unfortunately can't be here today. But these are one of the experts in CCAM next to other partners. We also have Continental on board as in our project as advisory partner for our project covering both countries. As MNO, as mobile network operator, we have Telefonica in Germany. And on the French side, we have other interesting partners, Totem, which is another tower company, also a leader in Europe, and Orange as mobile network operator, but also as innovation driver. So we have mobile Orange Innovations on board as well. So Orange Innovations and HDW Saar, together with the other partners, driving the CCAM use cases forward. You will see that in a minute. What's the purpose of the project? We are providing reliable, safe, and mobile communication in order to implement and enable CCAM use cases. Actually, 3 of them, and I will show that to you which one in the next few slides. The scope itself, we are actually providing connectivity on a 60-kilometer corridor between Metz in France and Saarbrücken in Germany, and providing dedicated 5G connectivity. I know everybody has 5G nowadays, but these are kind of frequencies which will allow us to enable and to implement and to test and to explore CCAM use cases in that context. The project lasts 3 years. We already started at the beginning of this year, and it will last, and we will provide the results latest by December 2027, doing the test cases in 2027. And one more word about the budget. We're speaking about the project here around 8 million euros altogether. So hopefully it moves on. Yeah, what are we trying to achieve here? What are our goals? We are trying to contribute, or we are contributing to the expansion of the pan-European 5G corridor, as I said, enabling various CCAM use cases. We contribute to increased network quality in this area, and specifically on the French-German border, and as I said, dedicated 5G coverage. The goals itself, we will actually deploy infrastructure along the corridor, really dedicated on this corridor, and the corridor itself is along the so-called Trans-European Transport Network, TEN-T. If you're not familiar with the TEN-T network, these are the main connection roads in Europe, and we are on one of them. And our project will implement the solution on one of the corridors between Metz and Saarbrücken in Germany. And we will actually provide frequencies of 3.6 gigahertz. In Germany, it's 3.5 gigahertz. What does it mean? It will provide strong coverage where we can actually then enable the kind of mentioned use cases with our test vehicles and all other equipment we use. Going to the next slide, just giving you a visual view of the project scope. As you can see here in the middle, as I spoke about the 60-kilometer corridor in the middle on the TEN-T Atlantic corridor, the corridor will link the two countries with a 5G connectivity, which is necessary. In France itself, the corridor has will have 55 kilometers along two highways, again, dedicated highway coverage. And the infrastructure will look like this. There will be 8 new sites. A site is nothing else than a tower, actually, but you will see directly on the near the highway. And existing sites will be upgraded in order to provide the necessary functionality. Passive sharing is nothing else than the equipment will be used for more MNOs. At the moment, it will be used for Orange, but they are actually prepared to add additional providers on the way if needed, latest after the project closes. And the project is supported by the French government and also by local authorities. In that matter, it was the region Grand East in the East. So we have lots of political support, also lots of press attention, and lots of expectations, of course, as well. And the national partners I already mentioned, Orange, with the Orange MNO unit, but also the Orange Innovation Unit, together with Totem-S Tower Company. In Germany, we built a shorter corridor there. It's related to the topology of the region. That's why we decided to shorten the corridor there a bit. But nevertheless, 5 kilometers will be covered along the A6. We will build less infrastructure, 5 new towers actually along the highway. And we will also use a different technical approach, so-called outdoor distributed antenna system. It's actually not really important for the user, but it's important for us because it's a bit more efficient in our view. The result will be the same, but it's a bit a different approach of providing connectivity on highways and also on other roads. Yeah, and as I said, we also provided by the German government and also by the regional authorities, in that case, the state of Saarland, and the national partners, as I mentioned already, Vantage Towers, Telefonica, the university, and Telefonica. Coming to my last slide, hopefully at least. One more. Okay, sorry, that was too far. The use cases we are going to cover. We are going to cover 3 use cases. The first one, cooperative lane change or line change. So everything related to line changes or lane changes on the highway. If a car is overtaking or is overtaken by another car, if a car is entering the highway or exiting the highway. So we are exploring methods or solutions how we can then support with our network the autonomous driving. There will be no autonomous driving at the end of 2027, but we want to make sure that's actually technically feasible and possible at the end of the day. So this is the first use case. The second one, the very complicated anticipated cooperative collision avoidance, ACCA, nothing more than really being able to explore or to see hazards or impediments on highways. For example, if there's a traffic jam which can't be located by a sensor in the car, the network can actually provide information. Don't know, 3 kilometers ahead is a building site, there's a traffic jam, there's an accident or any other objects on the street, like or even a human on the street. So we will provide messaging there. We will obviously implement the solutions by looking at the KPIs. I spare you the KPIs. I think we have a panel discussion afterwards. If you have any questions, I can answer to that. And last but not least, we also improve the connectivity in general. So the follow me entertainment video streaming, because the connectivity in some parts of this corridor is actually or needs to be improved, nicely said. That's the end of the presentation, and thank you. And then I would like to hand over to my colleague. Thank you.
Thanks. So that's when you come up as a last person on the stage, you'll try to adapt your speech. And I've been thinking about a little bit what to do here. So let me first put on my live stream here. There we go. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. It seems like there's some problems with my connectivity. Well, it doesn't matter that much, right? But I guess you would have a problem in your transportation system. So I think what's happening these days is that, connectivity plays a more and more central and important role in our our whole ecosystem with missions which we are carrying out and so on. So I think it's really important that we reflect on the importance and the impact it has and the opportunities. Let's see if it will go on here. There we go, maybe. There we go. So there's a small movie in the scene Time to Time from our proving ground, which I would claim is one of the most advanced proving grounds in the world. And why is that? So it's basically a big representation of what we have outside. So it's a micro representation of the world outside. So we have all kind of connectivity settings there. We have private networks, we have experimental networks, we have innovation networks within 5G, and we've also started to explore the potential for 6G already at our proving ground. But if we go wind back the tape a little bit and think of, okay, so how many of you have a car here in this audience? Raise your hand. Do you have a car? Exactly. That's what I thought. And I assume that most of you have L2 cars. So if you have some kind of a driver's assistance, maybe an active cruise control. So most of us would have an L2 car. How many of you have an L4 car? Like a more or less fully automated personal vehicle? Anyone? No. And why is that? I mean, the technology is there already, but we can't afford it, right? So I think what connectivity will do here in the future is to, in many ways, if we dare to take the leap and when we are mature, it can actually lower the cost for consumers. I mean, today, especially in Europe, the main focus is on transportation and logistics of, we talk about, transporting people, transporting, of course, goods, but eventually it will come down to, our personal cars as well. But I think the price needs to be reduced a lot. And I think this is where connectivity plays a role. We can do edge computing. We will know that the quality of service is always guaranteed, more or less, if you maybe pay for the service. You will have the bandwidth you need, you will have the speed, and you will maybe only pay for it when you need it. So even in our personal cars, I mean, when you drive around the short distances, you don't want to maybe pay for the quality of service because you don't need it. But maybe when you drive to Germany from Sweden on the Autobahn or highways, you want to pay a little bit extra for a smart car, which is connected. You maybe can lay down and watch a movie or something in the future. So this is a kind of experiments which we do at our proving ground. So you could actually think that it's a drone picture, but it's not. So what is it? Can you see what the representation is? Well, it's a digital twin of our proving ground, and that's also something that goes hand in hand with the future mobility. You need to have a digital representation. You're up for optimizing every aspect of the environment. So you need a digital representation. You might need even a digital representation of the connectivity, so you know where you have a bad connectivity, where you need to improve it, and where not. So we have heard about cross-border problems here, and that's also something that we do here at SA0, our proving ground. So we have done a lot of tests where we can do cross-border testing. We have prepared the networks together with the teleoperators in Sweden and Norway to make sure that the handovers are seamless. But that's not the only challenge we have. I mean, there's a lot of other protocols and legal aspects, but this is one of the technical challenges which we are focusing on solving together with the teleoperators. And what else is important and interesting here is, I mean, as you can see, we have fully experimental networks, as I mentioned. We have a millimeter wave. So, I mean, we have done some early testing on beyond 5G when it comes to sensing. And now we are taking the next leap and, of course, looking into 6G and what it brings for us when it comes to, I mean, as some of you might know, it's a lot about the ISAC protocols. What's in the, I mean, how can we use 6G as a sensor? And this will also, in combination, I think, bring up a lot of new opportunities when it comes to, I mean, when all these vehicles are integrated and moving around in the society and needs to be communicating with each other. I mean, we have the sensing part from the infrastructures. We have the guarantee good quality of service from the teleoperators with 5G, and then the remote operations, and everything is controlled. I mean, this becomes a very, very tough challenge when you have to kind of control the system of systems. And this is also something that we do a lot here at the proving ground, because we have all the environments, we have a lot of vehicles, and we can combine everything and optimize all the aspects which are needed now in the close future and also in the more longer term. Thanks, Anna.
You had the last one, I think.
Yeah, we can skip that.
Thank you so much, all of our speakers. We're going to have a small panel discussion. So we could start with now questions to all of you. When we're implementing the CCAM technologies at a larger scale in the coming years. Oh, we have another speaker. What are the main success factors in implementing this at large scale from your perspective? Who would like to start? Gerard, you are ready.
Yeah, so we already do the project and we already have success factors in view for us in our project, but also for CCAM, I guess, especially when you do a project cross-border. So first of all, you have to, like in any project, you have to cope with different cultures, different approaches, very simple, like in any other project, I would say. Not really the technology, to be honest. Of course, my counterparts from the mobile network operator might beg to differ here, what I'm saying now. But I think the challenges in terms of technology, we can cope with, I would say. Of course, there will be some kind of limitations at borders, always will be, but I think we can lower them and somehow, in our case, enable the use cases. So I would say rather the organizational than technology challenges, but the success factor for us is to implement the use cases and really show show a difference at the end of the day. Because I know many studies from the past, of course, lots of paper was produced, I'm sure very useful, but at the end of the day, people really want to see some changes and want to see something being done at the end of the day. And I think this is really the main success. So has something changed at the end of the project?
Yes, maybe I could add. So from our perspective, the main challenge to deploy this is to find customers that are willing to take on the challenge of implementing autonomous trucks into their logistics operations. And as I spoke about before, we need to find these early adopters, innovators, and they are not many. I mean, we're still struggling to deploy electric trucks and logistics. So adding autonomous to that is a real challenge. But then to come back to this session, seamless connectivity is also a need for us to be able to deploy. So whenever we go to a site, we assess the connectivity and GNSS on the site and see if this is a site that we're able to deploy at. And in Sweden, for example, we are deploying on the public network. But for example, in the US, we have been able, or we needed to build our own private network. So this is a precondition for us.
What does the city do? City. What are you doing? And what's the success factors for you?
Yeah, can I first comment? I view it like this. We have been visiting many sessions during this conference, and I think many sessions, they have all the same answer, and I have no other opinion than that. And it's all about the safe and sustainable introduction of CCAM. And then there are some more detailed success factors that I'd like to highlight. One very important is, of course, people talk about societal readiness and public acceptance. I would also maybe add to that public understanding, since CCAM vehicles are still very scarce objects in the city and in the urban environments in the transportation system. So we also need to educate the general public about this. And that's what we try to do in Gothenburg. We've been piloting these types of vehicles and services for many years. Started many years ago with some of the vehicles you can see outside here at the conference, and trying to, when we get cooperations with even more advanced vehicles, we try to bring them to the public. And now in the autumn, we will actually start a new bus line in the city, which one of the buses will be fully autonomous. It will still have a safety driver because that's the way it is. But we know from previous experiences that it's a very capable automated bus, and it can more or less run automated 99% of the time. And this, I hope, will bring some more added visibility to general public in Gothenburg. And I think this needs to be done on a more national European level. Everyone cannot go to San Francisco to experience this. I think we should step up a little bit there. This is important. Then I believe also it's very important, as being a representative for the public sector, that we try to make the city and the administration that I'm working for more digital mature, so that we can be a competent actor in the future. I call it phygital future, which is a blending of physical and future, if I've not heard about that concept before. We're moving in that direction, I'm sure. You've seen the digital twin and so on. And this is not easy. It requires competence. So it will be a huge challenge for us. But that's what I try to do in my work, to make us starting in small steps, become more data-driven, thinking in this way. And as I showed in my opening statement, there are already many possibilities. I mean, the communication networks, the platforms, they are already in place, but what we are really missing is data exchange, data producers, data consumers, and also, more important, services based on the data. It's promising that the Commission has initiated a lot of new legislation and supportive actions, initiating harmonization of data sharing platforms and so on, and demanding data exchange. But I believe it's not, even if you have the data, it might be the case that the services will not be there. And there are reasons for that, because they are probably in many services that are useful from a societal perspective are not useful from a commercial perspective. And we need to balance that in some way. That is also really important. And not least, when talking about these ecosystems, very important to include cities and the requirements and the situations for cities in this, because these types of discussions often take place on a more higher level, but still, I believe most CCAM solutions, they will appear in cities. And if they are to be successful, they need to know about city conditions. Yeah. We need to do more, and we need to do it faster, I believe.
Yeah, one small comment there. I mean, most of us have heard the saying, I mean, US innovates, Asia something, and EU regulates, right? So I think it's important that we talk about, in the future, about the innovation culture in Europe. Because, I mean, we have everything in place. I mean, we are super innovative. We want forward, but I think we all need to talk about it, because I think everyone needs to be on board on the change. So from, from school age, the teachers need to talk about technology, innovation, and how we can progress, and also, go towards a green transition here. But I think that's where we now come. The society plays an important role. But when it comes to technology, I think we need to accept. I mean, it should be more acceptable to fail and fail fast. So that you can, take new steps in the right direction. And that's something that's sometimes shameful in Europe to fail, while other culture accepts it and takes us a more of a learning curve. So I think it's important to be accepted if you fail and try again and try and again. And so you should have the more of a support from the society, the cities, and everyone, universities, and have a positive atmosphere, because I think we can achieve a lot in Europe together.
Thank you for those insights. If we discuss more about the connectivity, is CCAM deployment and implementation really dependent on a good connectivity? Pia, you're nodding.
Yes, as stated for the moment, or as I stated, we believe that autonomous vehicles will require remote operations also in the future. And when the vehicles need support for any reason, they need connectivity and need to be able to trust that it is there when needed. So yes, is the answer.
Yes. Do you agree, the other?
Of course, from our business model, I have to agree, of course, but I'm also speaking as a citizen, and I would say it's a complementary solution. So we will need both connectivity from outside, but also, of course, connectivity from the cars or between the cars itself. So I guess it's definitely the case, and will not. I think both are really both are necessary and really evenly necessary, I would say.
So I think on top of that, what connectivity brings is more of an opportunity to optimize whatever the mission you're going to carry out. I think, you can develop transportation systems which are not dependent on connectivity, and they're done so today. But what connectivity will bring is a greater opportunity to optimize your mission and also increase safety and speed. So, a little bit of, depending on what you are asking for and what you're needing.
Yeah, and my answer in Swedish would be Mia, and I can't translate that into English, but it means that I think you have good opinions here, and I agree with you, but it can never be dependent on communication. That's my belief. You can never have safety-critical functions relying on communication, but they can be complementary, as you said. And I do believe that they will be important for an efficient introduction of CCAM systems. There are already studies from the US that shows that if you blend different ADAS systems from different manufacturers, that can create more or less chaos on some roads under certain conditions, and that needs to be taken care of in some way, I believe.
So it's really about a robustness in these systems. Gerard, you just started your implementation projects for this 5G corridor, but what do you perceive as the main challenges when implementing this for real with that robust corridor that can enable CCAM technologies?
Yeah, there are various things. The main challenge is definitely the cross-border situation that we somehow need to solve, because we need to provide the user use cases, and the user shouldn't care that he just crossed the border, so we somehow have to face that. But I personally believe we will somehow find a solution that will satisfy ourselves, but also the users. But it's really, as you mentioned, failing, for example. We have 3 years. We are not allowed to fail, because obviously it's a funded project. So it's a bit of course, these are special circumstances. So, but I think we found a solution that we can fail or can be flexible within a given framework. So this, I think it's really more the organizational or the project organization that's really a challenge, and really bringing various countries together. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not, but it's also very interesting and challenging. So to summarize, it's not really the technology. So it's the technology, of course. This is ahead of us, and we're actually right now working on that already. But I would say it's like in any other project, 5G or CCAM or not, really how we bring the people together and to find a common approach to reach the goal, to say.
And when you say cross-border, is the regulations on the different side of the border that poses this issue, or is it the actors that are not used to collaborate, sort of?
I would say regulations as well, but here, of course, there are 2 different MNOs on board, and there are various MNOs we would like to have on board, of course, because we would like to provide or to give the solution then to every user who is able to use it if he or she has a vehicle. But actually, it's less the regulations. The regulations are a challenge as well, but it's more really, for example, building permissions or so on, or even on the border as well. For example, if they're overlapping the existing networks already, so we have to make sure that we all take this in consideration. But I would actually say it's really a telecommunication topic which needs to be solved, and not a regulation topic.
Pia, you are in the MODI project also, as you mentioned earlier, and you've been trying to do also cross-border connectivity between Sweden and Norway. What are your experience from that test period?
Well, the experience was that the border lacked connectivity for several kilometers. So we weren't able to drive autonomously using the remote operation station as monitoring service. So that was the main conclusion in our first test or data assessment. And then, as stated, the experience was that between the same service provider on the Swedish and the Norwegian side, they solved it. But that, of course, is the same service provider, and I guess it's not solved for over different service providers on the different sites.
Also thinking, Timo, you have been involved in the North Star project together with Telia and Ericsson project that you can share?
Yes, I think that's a great example of how 5G can, take us into the future from a kind of a supporting the industry way. Because I mean, what we are used to is, we haven't been dependent on, connectivity in such a way. We just used mobile phones for, maybe watching a movie or sending a video stream or something. But what's happening gradually is that the industry is also, transforming into implementing the dependency towards a good quality of service, as PS mentioned several times here. So what we have done in the North Star project is to, really provoke the connectivity to see where the boundaries are. And we have worked with, spoofing and jamming. We have worked with slicing the network into several slices so that we can see, okay, will it work still well when we overload the network? Can we provide a sufficient quality of service for that fully automated solution? And so far we have seen that, yes, it's possible today. So the 5G today brings a lot of great opportunities for the industry when it's mature, mentally, I would say mature to take the step to and maybe a leap towards being more dependent and rely on the future connectivity opportunities.
Yeah. And also finally here, because we're running out of time, but Mikael, you mentioned the co-twin project that also is using the North Star corridor. What has your experiences been in that project? That project is not finalized, I should say, but so far.
It's just yet started, so things are setting up, but I can give you some more details. It's very interesting because, as I mentioned previously, we will use edge computing, and this will be done in a confidential way using software from a company that enables and explores. One of the purposes of the project is also explore different how to deal with GDPR and cybersecurity solutions in this world when you have a cooperative digital twin, and when you use edge computing, and can you extend the vehicle? Can the vehicle be extended to the edge of the 5G network? Things are being set up, and as I mentioned, we will utilize a truck, and the truck will stream a live video, and it will in real-time compute and do different tasks, enable certain services. One that we will showcase is sign recognition. We will use the truck to identify signs related to workplaces, so more dynamic signs that is decided. Then we will open up and we will have a hackathon where we open up for students, and they will be able to also elaborate on the data sets and add more use cases.
Really interesting. So looking forward for those results later on, and hopefully also new innovations on how we can use this. Thank you so much to the panel for all your insights, and also in the presentation material you will have some more background material on the projects if you want to go and have a look later. We will finish off here with a small Menti and also some Q&A, the last 25 minutes here. So please bring out your phones, because I assume they were in your pocket during the session. And you will have some questions. First question here is, what is the largest challenge from your perspective when it comes to connectivity? Whoa. Reliability, of course. we need to be able to trust upon the connectivity to do the task that we envision. What do we have more? Cross-border handover, functional safety, security, also typical question when it comes to connectivity, of course, and coverage. Not only cross-border, but also inside countries to have a good connectivity, as Pia also mentioned here, at all times. Thank you so much. Anyone from the panel that would like to comment? Anything that surprised you?
Not really. The coverage, it's not surprising to me, maybe surprising that's the biggest one here, but just an insight from our project, the coverage we are providing, we are speaking about an intersite distance, which means the distance between one tower and the next. So really providing, it's 1 kilometer in Germany and 1.5 in France, which is really very good, I would say, but of course, very cost intense as well. So coverage can be provided, but of course, it costs something, and that brings us to the business case and also to somebody needs to pay the bill at the end of the day. So, but not surprising to me, but maybe, as I said, because it's quite big, yeah, the coverage.
Yeah, Timo, please.
Actually, I would like to ask Pia a question. So, I mean, if you look at these words, what do you think? What's the word, or what's the what are you mostly talking about at the Enride?
I think we're mostly talking about latency, because we have connectivity, for example, at our customer sites, but we need to constantly monitor the latency. So it's within our required boundaries. So I think that's the answer.
Yeah, and I think also one of the, I mean, in Europe, we are really fortunate, I would say, when it comes to coverage. But I mean, we don't always have the good coverage when it comes to very remote areas. I think at least what we've seen in an OSAR project, I mean, latency and, you know, the quality of service can be fulfilled. And I think I mean, the more rural you are, the more challenging it gets.
Well, push the button again. Let's move to the next question here in our Menti. How could the European community contribute to innovative atmosphere to advance the connectivity area in Europe? So really, once we have that fantastic connectivity, what can we do with it? No ideas? Joint framework, yeah? Collaboration between EU and national projects. I think that's excellent to reinforce also what we're doing on both sides. Innovation challenges. Anyone that would like to elaborate upon that? What's an innovation challenge?
Yeah, that would be me.
That's you.
No, I was thinking, because in Sweden we had this national call this spring, and it was regarding digitalization or connectivity. I don't remember the name of the call, but there were so many that applied for funding in this call. So it really shows that there is a lot of innovation out there. So more of these funding schemes or innovation challenges, which was the word I used, but let it bubble.
Yep. And of course, coming back to failure, we have to have the ideas, and then of course we will not make use of all the ideas, but we should never keep them inside to be able to come forward. Yes, Mikael.
I think it's important to initiate project that includes all relevant actors of the value chain from producer to consumer of data and services. That is sometimes missing, but you need to prove and give examples because I think we need to get the wheels rolling. There's often what we refer to as chicken and egg problem. If the service is not good enough, then there are no users, but if there are no users, why provide a service? So we need to initiate projects that get the wheels rolling, I think.
And that means also really solving then real world problems together with different actors of the system.
Yes, of course, of course.
Great. We continue here. Our next Menti question is, how can we support these innovations to grow? Because that's the next step. Also, Pia was mentioning a bit with different innovation challenges, but how can we find that financing investors and incubations to have innovations and ideas to grow? Where is the latency? Is it in the system, in the mobile?
So while we wait here, I could have a small talk.
You're welcome.
So, I mean, we have been discussing a lot with both providers and the community as such when it comes to connectivity. What's often taken for granted is that the really good connectivity is basically for free. And I think for teleoperators and tech providers, that's a challenge because you can't really, connectivity is not tangible in such a way as, for example, a car is. So good quality of service also has a price tag.
Yes, and I think it's often that discussion that comes from the teleoperators that they need so much scale to be able to invest in that good infrastructure, which is difficult when we're doing the small fleets here and there. Okay, we now have some good inputs here on the screen. So demo tracks and public exposure days, open partnerships, focus on use cases, fix minimum set of standards for cross-border interoperability. So really that you're not supposed to be doing everything cross-border then, I guess. But that could be definitely an option to focus on certain use cases that you do really well instead of solving everything at a time. Facilitate large-scale testing in real-life scenarios. Yeah, nice. Find good business models. Of course, that's a difficult part always. So how do we do that? Do we have any comments?
Maybe I can add on that because we have actually one work package, as one delivery in our project, which is called business model, which is obviously, as everybody can imagine, a challenge. But I think the first step is just sit together and look at, first of all, having all partners on board who actually play a role in this value chain. Of course, not the end users, but we have OEMs maybe not representative in the way we would like to, but all the other partners are on board and start speaking about it. So I think we need to start somehow, but as I said at the beginning, it needs to make sense economically, otherwise nobody's going to do it, or not in the way we would like to have it. So for us, it's definitely one challenge, and we will definitely focus the topic and hopefully provide some results, at least for our corridor in the given time frame.
Thank you. Let's do our last question in Menti before I release if anyone have any general questions to the panel. Ecosystems and collaborations are based upon trust. So how can we as a European community improve trust between European actors? Because I think that's really central if we're going to do this huge collaboration project. And also, if you remember one of the first slide there, we want to build this on partnership in Europe. And in the earlier session, we also heard Sven Beiker from Silicon Valley mentioning that this is typically a European thing to do the collaboration and have that as one of the letters really when we talk about automated vehicles. Sit together, yeah, come together. That's the only way. Get to know each other, get to know each other's perspectives. Yeah, templates for contracts and NDAs. I think that's a really good one, actually, to make it easier also to set the limits in between actors. Even if we're collaborating, it's not completely open doors. Emphasize the win-win aspects, of course. All the actors in the ecosystem should feel that they are winning something from the cooperation. Nice. Do we have any comments from the panel, or are we opening up for questions? Gerhard.
Once more, I would comment on that because this is the ongoing 5G project we have. So trust, for me, of course, you need just, when I saw the comment of the NDA and the contract, of course, an NDA is necessary, the contract is necessary, but I would think the trust between the parties, I think has to fit. Remember when we started the project 1.5 years ago in the application, I think if the partners didn't get along, we wouldn't even have started. I think it's really necessary, the cultural difference and so, but I think in our case, we build trust and it's working so far, and I'm very convenient that it's working. So what I'm saying is the regulations, of course, are necessary, but more important is really are the partners getting along and do they have the same goal? And in our case, it's definitely the case.
Yeah. All right. Any general questions to the panel? They are here. It's just super. Oh, Bastian, you have your microphone on the seat there. Yeah.
Well, today was all about 5G, but of course I'm curious, what will 6G do? Will it solve all the problems we have today, or not? Or maybe a short reflection, and then specifically on the promise on the short and long-range communication, which hopefully is fully integrated, potentially also unlocking the full potential for CCAM. So I'm curious about your view.
So maybe I can answer since we've done some testing already with 6G. I'm sure that, or I believe at least, that they will be complementary to each other. Because as you mentioned, the ranges are totally different. And they have also a little bit of a different purpose. As you know, 6G is more about sensing and the capability, even though you have it in 5G, but not to the same degree. So I think when it comes to CCAM solutions, I think really that 6G will play an important role when it comes to, especially when it comes to, increasing safety in dense cities.
Thank you. Yes, Miguel.
Maybe say something. I'm not knowledgeable about 6G, but I understand it will be more and more move in the direction of short range, but with added functionality. But on the topic of short and long range in general and where we stand today, we have piloted many of the harmonized use cases using cellular communication using existing networks, and they work perfectly fine. They are low latency services, though we still acknowledge that there might be use cases that would be even better using short-range communications. So we are open to that. So I think having a hybrid approach is valid. It's a good approach, I believe. Yes.
Yes, gentleman here. Do you have a?
Yeah, but I can also. My name is Liebert Behrens. I'm working in the standardization mainly of short-range device stuff, but also I developed also mobile radio systems 30 years ago. And I have one question which is related to the business models, and that was the experience I made in rail, where the rail companies ask for business cases and contracts with mobile operators, where they have certain reliability requirements. If you talk about CCAM, that's a very important topic because you have to know who is responsible if something happens. Teleoperating is exactly the same. Where's the problem? Are the operators willing or are they prepared to do this kind of contracts, which means significant higher prices because you have to guarantee a certain quality of service for this kind of things under most of the conditions. And the experience I made during discussions with the operators is exactly that this is one of the major showstoppers to roll it out in a broader way. We are talking here about very small scale demonstrations or deployments even, but that's a different thing than if we talk about millions of cars operating there, and there will be accidents, there will be things happening. Who is then responsible for that, and who is able to take over this responsibility? Because that's, I think, one of the key questions. If we talk about communication-based about CCAM, that's exactly what we are talking about. Who is responsible? That's a problem.
So should repeat also who is responsible here in the system. Are operators ready to take the responsibility, for example, for the robustness of the communication?
And cross-border is a very nice example for that.
I would like to respond to that one. I can't speak for the mobile network operators, of course, because Orange, in our case, and Telefonica, I know they are very innovative, otherwise they wouldn't be in our project, but it's a very good question, and it's not the first time we ask the questions within the project, but also in conferences. I know in the railway it's the same, so who is going to start? We already have coverage there, why we should be investing? It's not a low investment, we all know about that, but I can't really give an answer. I can only say in our project, there's an open mind. Who is going to pay for what kind of services? By the way, what kind of services are we going to provide on the highway? So is it the user when he's buying, or he or she buying a car? Or is it the car company offering the services? Is it the road operator, for example, which would be another option, providing additional services, for example, in Germany, the Autobahn GmbH, or in Sanef, don't know. So in Austria, ASFINAG. So I don't know, but I think from our point of view, it's a really complex topic. The first step is done. They're in the project, in our project at least, and we are discussing it. So more I'm not asking for, but what the outcome is, I'm optimistic by definition, but we will see. I think it's also challenging, as you mentioned, in the railways sector. So, but the question should be, I think, headed to the mobile network operators, because these are the first ones I would ask. Yeah. But very good question, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands. Last word from the panel then. What do you wish for? What's your vision forward when it comes to connectivity?
Start?
Yeah, Miguel, go ahead.
We must get the wheels rolling. And when it comes to your question, I believe a very large proportion of cars on the roads today are already connected. They transfer a lot of data in existing networks, mostly for streaming audio, maybe streaming other things. And the services that are designed of today, they are ready to be implemented. But we need to get the wheels rolling. We must get more service providers on board to design more services. We must have a larger market uptake. And I think that it is promising with a harmonization of national access points that will make hopefully data more visible and more services more visible. So that be helpful to get the wheels rolling. And then when the wheels get rolling, I think then things will happen quickly.
Mm. Thank you. Gerard.
Continue. I would say for our project, of course, I wish ourselves all the success and also no disappointment at the end. But more important, of course, as you mentioned, less regulation, more innovation, really going a step further. I know it's difficult times, it's always investment, but really being a bit more optimistic in some relations. This I really wish, and I think here there are lots of people who really have ideas, and this is my wish that we keep moving on and staying optimistic, and who isn't, hopefully changes in that way.
Thank you.
So I would say that ask for more, dare more, and innovate more. So kind of try to push yourself and push the environment around you, so that we can be more agile and fast to take on the opportunities which are there actually in front of us, even though we don't see them.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
And Pia, last words.
Okay, so what I wish for is more deployments of autonomous vehicles, including our autonomous trucks in Europe, in the US, and everywhere. And I wish for them to need as little as connectivity as possible, but when the truck needs it, it should be there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, panel, for good insights. Thank you so much, audience, for listening and involving in the questions here. Thank you so much.